Like we said before, we have the CEO of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association in studio with us, Anthony Samba. He's going to be talking to us about young people and their place in Kenyan politics. I think we are an asset. I think we know we are an asset. But for some reason, what usually as young people are used as like pawns on a chessboard, just being exploited.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this conversation with Anthony. Karibu sana to studio.
Thank you, Mariam. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, it's good to
always
see
a
you
pleasure
again.
to be part of your company.
to see you
My
again.
week has started well.
Started very well.
It's amazing.
We're glad to start the
Asante.
week with you.
Yeah.
First things first, I don't know, in the last election, for example, what would you say was the place of Kenyan youth? Was it, a mobilization thing? Was it, getting into elective politics? Was it coming out and voting? Or was it being used as, a kapon hapo kwa chessboard?
Thank you, Mariam. I think the place of the young people has always been and should be at the negotiating table. But unfortunately, most of us are normally left at the periphery, Either our role is just reduced to voting, so pretty much voting machine. If we are not voting, our role is demonstrators. If we are not demonstrating, we're basically languishing in our poverty. And unfortunately, that's a space that has been created for young people. But I honestly believe every election cycle is an opportunity for us to do better. It's an opportunity for us to give a chance to better leaders. There are many young people who have demonstrated capability to actually provide the level of positive influence that we need in this country. Because, they say everything starts and ends with leadership. If we get it right on leadership, we've gotten it right as a country. So I feel strongly that the space that young people should be occupying has not really been given to them. But equally, to just give a clarion call that, Martin Luther is the one who said that freedom will never be given voluntarily by the oppressor. The oppressed must know how to demand for it. I mean, if we really feel like we need more space, we need more voice, then it's about time that we actually start making those demands. And there has been good strides. I know, for example, in Parliament, where I'm privileged to be working with young parliamentarians, I have a team of very vibrant young people who are fighting so hard for their space. Some have made it. They're now leads in various influential committees. But equally, there are others who are coming up. I've also been privileged to interact with many young Kenyans who are not necessarily in Parliament, but, running their show in businesses, like in the private sector and in other spheres of life. So it's a mix of everything. There are those who are already on the table and fighting to actually have a voice on that table. There are those who are fighting to get to that table. So what we just need to do is understand what is our agenda on this table.
Exciting how you're talking about success stories, but on the ground, we are only seeing the youth being used as a force for different measures. We are only seen during the elections, we are seen as voters. During Maandamano, we are seeing as protesters. And it's mostly the larger majority, that is the 35 and below. Does it mean that the only thing that a young man can do is use their energy in support of either a political cause or either just basically as a political cause, but not as leaders, as just part of the energy, like the youthful energy? They're not being used as young leaders to push the agenda. You're saying, you're talking about how we are part of, we are on the table. Can we even see the table in itself? And what is this table that we're talking about?
Unfortunately, many of us are not even able to have a glimpse at the table because we don't even have an idea how the structure of the table looks like or works. And for me, that is one of the, the crisis that we are in as a country, because we're just talking about cost of living. But we are forgetting there's something called the demographic time bomb. That if it, catches up with us, it will not be as kind as people are imagining. So those are things that need to be looked at, because the kind of demographic time bomb that you're looking at is, many young people are not able to access or afford the kind of lifestyle they want, which translates to, multiple, frustrations. People, because you can't access school, because you can't access, work and all those things. So if that frustration keeps boiling up, that's what we are describing as a time bomb. So for you to even access that negotiating table, Brian and Mariam, you actually need some level of empowerment. I was a candidate in the last election, and I can tell you it was not easy, you know, having to walk through the streets of Nambale constituency,
Kwanza huko.
pleading with voters, and after pleading my case, I'm told, Mheshimiwa unatuacha aje. So I had to figure out how to, beyond just talking, compensate people for their time. How many young people are able to afford that? Thank God I have friends. You know, I could call Brian, I call Mariam, I tell them, hey, I'm stuck here. We
Sina
top up
kakitu.
fuel,
Songesha,
do all those things. But there are not so many of us who are as privileged to be exposed to such friends and opportunities. So what I'm saying is that we must deal with the issue of inequality as well.
Yeah.
Because again, the cost of living debate, you know, borders on the lines of inequality. Because I can tell you, we are seated here, and many of us would actually be out there protesting the cost of unga. But some of them don't even know the price of unga, because it's really none of their business, you know. But for somebody who's living below the dollar, understands symbolically what you mean by cost of living, because they understand that, you know, I have to go back to my house and I cannot provide food for my family, and you're a young family. So what are you conversation? Do the young people understand that when we are debating such a thing like the cost of living, we are not just supposed to belong to the other side of the debate where we are just agitating and protesting. We must also belong to the side of innovation and providing solution. And that's why I'm saying, if we only care to, you know, look at how the table looks like, the structure of the table, it's much more beautiful when we are part of the solution. The generation that got us to where we are, a multi-party kind of a system or society, understood their assignment. They understood that it was ugly to live in a one-party state. But they also appreciated it would be beautiful if Section 2A was repealed. They accepted that it would be much better if we have multiple political
Parties and players, yeah.
you know, allowing people to manifest their skills, their ideas, and all those things. So when they were going to the streets, they understood the assignment was not to collect 500 shillings from a politician. The assignment was to rally people behind the cause of, you know, amending our constitution to give us better policies, better political environment. So for us here in Kenya, this generation, probably our biggest assignment maybe is to deliver Kenya from economic bondages. But how do we do that? You're a trained profession. You're a genius in your own space. Look at how we've taken over the content creation space, and you are the ones driving it, to the extent that the country now is looking to tap into the young people's potential. I mean, content creators, the other day there was a debate, you know, they're probably some of the leading earners in our current economy, is because young people understood the assignment in that space and they're driving it. So could it be that maybe we are not just understanding the assignment? Maybe the assignment beyond the streets is to also rally ourselves around food production. How do we go back to our farms and make sure that we are doing more to produce, you know, so that we are playing a more proactive role.
So